Hey guys, welcome back. Up next, we have Skylar Tanner. He is one of the top high-intensity trainers in the country currently. He is also the youngest super slow certified personal trainer in history, and he's currently one of the general managers at Efficient Exercise in Austin, Texas. His speech today will be called Great Expectations, Training Over a Lifetime, and here he is.
Thanks, Mark. Now, normally, if you all had been sitting here for an incredibly long time, I would have pulled the priest and asked you all to sit up, shake hands with your neighbor, talk to someone, stretch your legs out, but y'all just came in, so we'll get right over that to the good stuff. I'm going to start off with a story. Anthony, as you know, or maybe if you follow his blog, last summer he was couch surfing across America. And he came through Austin and he had a couple workouts, one with myself and one with Keith, our genetic freak, whom y'all will listen to later on over the course of this weekend. And he came through for a couple workouts, and Austin in the summer is like Orlando, super humid, plus about 10 degrees. And he goes through a workout, and you having met Anthony, he always kind of has a look of kind of staring off, slightly squinty eyes, a little bit on his face. And so imagine after a workout in which he effectively got sucker punched metabolically, he's really looking like this. He's going, I'm going to walk to Whole Foods from your studio. No, that's like 7 miles in the heat. There's no shade. There's no sidewalks in the town in which I train. That room's for big trucks. We're in Texas. So I put him in my car and we go to Whole Foods. Now, in Austin, you go to Whole Foods because it's 88,000 square feet of grocery store. It would be like if you cared so much about Publix to take people there for events, for wine tastings, for cheese tastings. 88,000 feet of all sorts of wonderful things. Hippie girls possibly wearing bras or maybe not in the salad section. Sleeve tattoos of all sorts. Crazy hair that makes Fugees look tame. And you park in a parking garage and you go up 3 flights of escalator. So we're going towards the grilled meats area, and Anthony's kind of walking, and we're talking about something, and he goes, stops, full stop, and he goes, wait, are you libertarian? And I'm like, I'm taken aback and going, we were just talking about fitness, women, Austin. Yeah. Oh, okay. And he went, boom, right back into what he was talking about before, to get his whole chicken. That's what he was really there for, that he was going to eat with his bare hands. So that's the first time I ever met Anthony, and here we are a year later at this event. So he asked me to speak after I did a blog post that I called The 6-Year Itch, Was It All a Waste? I'm a personal trainer, and as introduced, I've been a personal trainer since I was 16 years old. That was the first time I took money for training. I was certified a year later. As the youngest super slow instructor in the known universe at the time, as my old boss used to say. And I've been doing it ever since, something I kind of fell into. And now I'm working on a master's degree in exercise science. Maybe I'll go get a PhD. I don't know if that's just for my ego of calling myself doctor. I really don't know, I'm just being honest there. But the point is I really like this stuff. And so I've tried everything. And you're seeing me here, I'm tall, I'm lanky, I'm not muscular. What am I going to tell you all about proper exercise? I think I got a few things to tell you about, but mostly I'm going to be a buzzkill. I'm going to tell you that there are limits. And I'm going to ask you to explore personally what you are going to do when you reach them. The blog post I wrote was sort of a long-form version of that. What have I done over the course of my training career? I've done super slow. I've done hypertrophy specific to training. I've done conjugate periodization. I've done wave loading techniques. I've done Pendeley's hormonal manipulation technique, in which you bring yourself to the verge of breaking. You back off, and you hope your testosterone ends up a little higher than when you started. I've done German volume training. I've done super brief heavy-duty training, everything in between. And at my heaviest, I was much fatter, and I was 220. I was bull strong. I could pull 455 on a deadlift for 5 repetitions. And I felt awful. It was just too heavy for my body. And so now as I stand here, I'm about 180 pounds. And so the question is, my goal was to get supremely muscular, superhero muscular. I grew up drawing superheroes. That was my shtick, comics and superheroes, and I could never achieve that. Well, hell, what the hell are you supposed to do after that? If you can't quite get to your goal, if all the puritanical work ethic in the world isn't going to get you there, what the hell else are you supposed to do? That was kind of an exploration of that. And as it turns out, there are limits, and there's some good science behind those limits that play out again and again and again, no matter how intense and advanced our training techniques become. These limits are structural, they're biological, and that's the extent of what I'm going to talk about first in this talk. And so in going through every one of those routines, you very quickly learn that the people who are genetically gifted to gain muscle mass don't ask how to gain muscle mass. In other words, if you are naturally talented at something, you are not on the internet trying to find out more and more about how to accentuate that talent. These are the guys who get to the college level playing football or crew. They have a talent for it. They keep doing what they're coached to do, and they keep advancing. They never reach a wall. Well, there is a wall as far as muscular development is concerned in weight, which is to say gravity imposes a certain amount of weight on all of us, right? Of course. So 1 pound of my muscle weighs as much as 1 pound of your muscle. And so two people of average height at roughly the same weight will roughly have the same arm measurement, assuming roughly similar body fat percentage. We call this the fat-free mass index. And scientists determined that it's like a more advanced version of the body mass index. Everybody's heard about that, right? BMI, BMI, BMI. The problem with BMI is it's just height to weight plus some funny math. And if you're a 230-pound bodybuilder, you're as obese as someone who is 35% body fat and on the verge of a heart attack. So fat-free mass index meant to spread that out a little bit and separate the two. And the maximum number that they came up with was 25. It's lean mass in kilograms divided by height in centimeters squared. You don't really get over that number. Only the people with the largest structures get there. Okay, and that's the next step, is that what determines how big you can possibly be? Your bones, your bones. Everybody's heard about big boned or small boned, and some people use big bone as an excuse for their gluttonous ways and the fact that they really like the big cake. But there is some truth to this. And we want to talk about structure. You build a building, a large building, you need a sufficiently sized foundation. Our foundations are our bones, and they're set at birth. We can make them stronger, we can make them denser. But a man who has smaller bones, say 7 3/4 inch wrist at a certain height, compared to someone of the same height with 8-inch wrists, will have greater muscular potential across the board. And in fact, that person with an 8-inch wrist untrained will likely be larger than the person with the 6 3/4 inch wrist, as far as bicep is concerned, right? Because that's what we care about. We're men. Biceps, chest, abs. I'm joking here, of course. But if you go to a college gym, boy, biceps, bench press, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and maybe an extra session on Saturday if you've got a date. So that's the way it is. You have limits, and that's one of the limits. And so the guy who came up with this actually is not a bodybuilder who sort of put all these equations together. His name is Casey Butt, and he is a PhD in artificial intelligence, right? Which is pretty cool. And so he has nothing to gain or lose from doing all these maths and figuring this out. And he comes up with these equations, and this is not, I don't get any money from this, but he's wrote a booklet on it. You can go and get these equations and very quickly punch in your numbers and figure out that if you train really, really, really hard, what you can get to on a muscular level. And then it becomes a problem because you're sure that that's lying to you. That if your goal is to be a big, strong, muscular athlete, or just have big muscles, then that's not going to be satisfying to you, knowing that there's a limit. And not only knowing that there's a limit, but having a nicely defined ceiling. who starts a job or a business as an entrepreneur with the intent of going, I only want this business to make $150,000 a year. I want that to be all I'm capable of. No, you set out with these really, really super high goals, hopes, aspirations. And the great thing about capitalism and about businesses is that you can make changes that change your ceiling. You can make changes on the fly that improve what you do. Biology, physiology doesn't allow for that, unfortunately.